Take two. I ran out of batteries partway through the start of the previous attempt here. I promised Scotty Eliason and Dennis Donahue that I would record a brief video on the application of VF4. VF4 race paraffin from Star is a really good race paraffin in a universal warm range. It's got a very broad range, and more of our team customers are using this as race wax for Eastern Cup weekends and other important races. They plan to put the wax in the hands of their athletes to have them prepare their own skis, and we want to make sure everyone knows what they're doing. So all you overachieving Type A Upper Valley kids, pay close attention. There will be a test. First thing we're going to do is weigh this bottle of wax on a gram scale so that we can make sure we know how much we're putting on, so that you can see how much wax is getting used. That is 55.4 grams before applying the wax. VF4 is a powdered paraffin, and it's powdered to make it easier to put on and to be more economical. We end up not using as much wax. To apply it, we put it on just as though we were putting on a pure floral powder. It's just much easier. It melts at a lower temperature. It's not dangerous to the ski. The whole thing is simple. The fumes are fine. No big deal. But we just sprinkle it on, and I like to run it down either side of the groove as per normal. Might have put a little wax on the floor just there. Okay, now we're going to iron it. The instructions on the container say to iron at 120. I find that the wax flows more easily and goes on better and is still very thermally stable at 130. So that is the iron temperature we tend to use. This iron is going to show 129 or whatever, because that's what it happens to be at, but it's set at 130. It'll go a degree above, a degree below, but that's quite accurate. I've cleaned it, I've wiped everything off, it's all good to go. I'm going to make sure there's no powder in the groove by running my fingernail up. And then, as I often do with powder applications, even with pure fluoros, I'm going to run the iron down one side of the groove and then the other. And that just ensures that the wax is going to flow evenly and completely and quickly underneath the iron. So, there we go. Steve McCarthy very kindly volunteered his new warm Speedmax skis, which have been ground, heat boxed, and hardened for the purposes of video demonstration. I messed up right at the end. We'll get it at the second pass. Other side. That's a nice even coat. I usually like to re-iron the wax at least once after the initial spreading and heating. And to do that, I usually set the iron in this direction. Instead of going longwise, I go sidewise. That sits the plate down a little closer to the base where the camber tends to bridge it up off. But I like to let the ski cool just a little bit before I re-iron. That way we keep excess heat out of the core of the ski. Fisher skis never stay totally flat in the shovel when you're heating them. They tend to go a little bit convex, and so I normally draw the wax back toward the tip by biasing the iron one way and then the other, and then pick up back here near the shovel and run a long continuous pass, full width, toward the tail. There's our wax job. It's a nice even coat. There's plenty of wax on the ski, but not an excessive amount. And we are going to grab our vial, head back to our gram scale. It's all tared out. And we're now at 54.8 grams. We started at 55.4 grams. Okay, Hanover kids. 55.4 minus 54.8. You got to do the math. I want you guys to go to your coaches and ask them how much the VF4 is going to cost, and then do a calculation of cost per pair to put this wax on the skis, and compare that with your normal HF block wax. I think you'll be happy. These high-achieving kids, you really got to challenge them to use their brains. What I'm going to do is take Steve's other ski, and I'm going to apply the wax to that, and give you a visual of what it looks like with the powder applied. That's what it looks like. Can you see all right? That's going to spread out really easily. 130-degree iron will do a nice job on that very quickly. You might as well weigh this again. I bet I have just a little more on this one. 54.0, 53.9. There we go. Documentation is very important for all scientific studies. 53.9, still less than 1 gram. And now we're going to give you an up-close view of ironing. You ready? Here goes. One side. To the side. Let it cool a moment. Oh, heck with it. It's just Steve's ski. We'll go ahead. Draw it back. Draw it back. Float it right down the middle. That's it. That's all it takes. Don't make it more complicated than that. You guys will be fine.